Chaff. Coming up this week.
I still think Final Fantasy is a silly IP.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of nonsense.
I hate this card.
It is a trap,
Yeah.
but it's a fun one.
I love fun traps.
Yeah. What's up, aficionados? Welcome back to Draft Chaff. This is episode 233. I'm Ben, one of your hosts, and joining me, as per usual, on the line is Tyler. How's it going, dude?
Hanging in there, Ben. I'm doing well. How are you, man?
Hanging in there? Why?
All I can think about is drafting more Final Fantasy right now. That's all I can think about. And we're spending time talking about it.
Yeah, well, we shouldn't be talking about it. We should be
playing.
actually doing it.
I'm so close to breaking into Mythic again. So I'm like, I just got to keep pushing. That's how I keep telling myself.
Nice, very nice. I've spent a lot more time doing best of 3 drafts these days. So, but honestly, you're a lot higher. I think I was like bronze last I checked because I hadn't played so long in ranked. I was dabbling in some 60 card, there was the regionals and all that.
You're Mythic in constructed though, I thought last I checked.
I am. I don't know. I recently, all right, we're already getting off topic from Limited, but quick aside, I've actually been playing a lot of Pioneer. Is it Phoenix? Because hear me out. We'll talk bans later because by the time this episode comes out, the bans will have already been announced. But I'm already mourning Corey Steelcutter in Standard. I actually love playing with Corey Steelcutter. Yeah. I know that makes me a bad person, but it doesn't seem like it's going to get banned from Pioneer. And Is It Phoenix, an already tier 1 deck, it just slots right in. It's like copies 5 through 8 of Ledger Shredder, which already cares about casting 2 spells a turn. So it's like, I get to play with Corey's, and then I get to play with Phoenix's and Ledger Shredders, and you get to play Treasure Cruise, which is Ancestral Recall, which is insane that it's legal. Let's talk about Limited then. We're going to get into a rare roundup today because, well, there's an awful lot to talk about with Final Fantasy. We do, unfortunately, really got a hand at the Final Fantasy because this Limited format is a doozy. It is so good.
I'm having a ton of fun with it. It almost feels solved in a certain way where like blue's definitely kind of coming out as like the leading color you want to be in, but still there's I'm still discovering like interactions and combos that are really fun, keeping it fresh. It's almost in the level of MH3 for me, where it's like each draft feels kind of unique.
I totally agree, and I don't think that's an accident. I feel like this set was originally designed to be straight to modern, and I feel like they made a bunch of tweaks along the way. The bonus sheet alone elevates it to modern. I mean, there's Lightning Bolt, there's Counterspell, there's
Primeval Titan.
Yeah. So when you get to play with a bunch of cards from, Magic's past that we all know and love, that's going to earn you some points in my book one way or another, even if the art is illegible and maybe even bad.
3D graphics, looks like straight out of a PS2 game.
God, a Lightning Bolt is a Lightning Bolt, I guess. But before we get into the specifics, a couple introductory reminders. If you're not yet in the Discord, hop on in there. It's where we talk all things Magic. Well, mostly Limited, but then some other nonsense stuff too. Spoilers for Edge of Eternities have already begun. At least mostly legal spoilers. I may have tossed a leak in there recently. I don't know. I don't want to rob people who'd be previewing it of their chance to show it off. But a leak is a leak. If it's out, I want to talk about it.
It's the internet. You can't hide from it,
No, information must be disseminated. Hop in the Discord if you are interested in chatting with us, all things Magic and non-Magic. Patrons, thank you. Y'all are the best. You keep this show running smoothly the way that it goes. Editing software is kind of expensive. And given that everything is a subscription service nowadays, which I guess you could say Patreon itself is a subscription service, so is our editing software. And honestly, our Patreon, all that money goes straight back into the editing. We don't really profit. It just kind of goes into the editing, which I basically do all myself. So patrons, we really do thank you. Thank you for making this show self-sustaining. That's really helpful. It means a lot to us. There's a lot of cool things you get over on Patreon, particularly the unedited version of the show, which includes all of these swears that I have to edit out and post, all the times we mess up, all the times that I say cut, and then we have to yell about something. we have signals that we make so we can tell. You know that. I don't know if you were on the Patreon, you're already hearing it right now. But Anyway, if you want to hear the Rated R pre-show, we actually talked a little bit about Cube in the pre-show, and we went over some of the leaks and stuff like that, some other Magic news that's worth discussing. Hop on over to Patreon. You can support us for as little as $1 a month, which in the grand scheme of things, that's not that much. If you get entertainment out of this show, we'd really appreciate it. We do have a new Patreon patron to thank. David, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Let's hop into our crack a draft type thing today. We actually have two because one of us is a pack cracking fiend who can't seem to hold a pack. You know what? Do yours first. I know it's probably already happened.
Oh, yeah, I have boxes that stare at me a lot during the day, and they're like, they just want to be open, Ben. That's all they want. The cards want to be free.
You're foaming at the mouth right now.
I don't even really want to go through this. I just want to open it. This is a foundation.
We're gonna go through. Of course, we're gonna go through it.
Okay. What do we got? We have Jungle Hollow. Okay. So we have Herald of the Eternal Dawn. So this is a mythic.
Ooh.
This is the Flash 6/6 Angel. Cost 4 and then 3 white. It has Flash flying. You can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game.
Very fun card.
I feel like I'm just taking this off the pack. Actually, we also have Spinner of Souls, another rare here. This is 2 and a green for a 4/3 with reach. Whenever non-token creature you control dies, you reveal cards from the top of your library to reveal a creature and put it into your hand. That's another great card, man.
Another great card.
I mean, I'm not even going to look at these because those are 2 great rares. I mean, what else are we going to take from this pack?
Between the two of them, I think I'm on the spinner for winning. And
I agree. But
and I'm on the angel for fun.
No, I agree. I think the spinner's definitely a quicker pick here.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to open the pack. We're not really going to dissect this too much. We'll take.
We love foundations. We love foundations.
There's really nothing actually that great in this pack. That
what are the uncommons?
We have Arbiter of Woe, which is meh. We have Midnight Snack, which is meh.
Nah.
Ravenous Amulet, meh.
Is it like the one where you can sacrifice creatures to do
sacrifice
something?
Creature, draw a card, put a soul counter on this, and then sacrifice this artifact. Each opponent loses life. Yeah, no, it's not great. No, we're taking a spinner. There's a Mocking Spirit, which makes your instants and sorceries cost 1 less, which is it's okay.
Yeah.
Wary Thespian, which I really like. It's the
that was a good one. Yeah,
very good and very good common. Yeah. Then nothing else. It's solid, just filler here. Like Prideful Parent, I actually like the cats. The cat typal in Foundations was quite powerful.
Yeah,
but I think Spinner of Souls is an easy pick here, especially for a pick one.
I'm not sure there's any common I would take over Spinner of Souls. I think maybe the couple that you could justify would be Burst Lightning.
Spinner of Souls is so good.
Yeah. I think it's probably just like the only common I would take over it might be Burst Lightning, and I'm not even sure about that pick. I think I'd probably still take the Spinner.
Definitely, but I think you have a more interesting breakdown here if you want us to take a look at what you got here.
Yeah, so let's take a look at this the 17 lands page. Those that are watching on YouTube, hey, how's it going? Those that are watching on Spotify, also, hey, how's it going? If you're just listening, we will talk about what's gone on here so far. This is a pack 1 pick 3 that happened for me today. My first pick was Kuja Genome Sorcerer. That is the 4-mana black-red 3/4. At the beginning of your end step, you make an 0/1 black wizard, and once you control 4 wizards, I think, you flip it. And then it's a 4/6, and if a wizard would deal damage to your opponent and deals double. So this thing basically becomes a double striker, and then all of your little pinging wizards start pinging for 2 instead of 1. A very strong threat. Now I was happy to pack 1 pick 1 it. Now my pack 1 pick 2 admittedly was not black or red, but it was part of my favorite deck in the format, which is Grixis Control. I think I've gone through evolutions as far as a Magic player. I've always been a white mage at heart. I've always loved white weenies. I've always loved like the big white decks with like enchantments and planeswalkers. But every once in a while, I think maybe playing that the Corey Otters deck at the regionals, I think it broke something in me where just taking a lot of game actions and just like being really mean and drawing a ton of cards and dealing a ton of damage. I think it like triggered something deep in my soul where I'm just like a meaner Magic player now because I have been loving Grixis Control in this format. So when I saw someone pass me Jill Shiva's Dominant, the 3-mana 2/2, basically Mana War, except for any non-land permanent, and then you can flip it into I don't even know. I've never even flipped it. It wins the game or something. It's a 4/5. Give something unblockable, tap all lands your opponent. That is never triggered for me. Just being, it's like a lightning rod after you use it as a mana war anyway, because they just never let that happen. But this card is obviously busted. I was very happy to pick that up immediately after the Kuja, and then attempt to draft Grixis. Now let's take a look at the pack that I saw pick 3, because I was presented with, well, a bit of a stumbling block. First out here, and actually, spoiler alert for those seeing, this is what I ended up taking out of the pack. Treno Dark City, the blue-black common duel. I take that because I'm basically committing to forcing Grixis here. But the pack maybe wasn't telling me to do that. In the pack, there's a magic pot, which I don't... This one's not really...
We did a live draft together where Magic Pot kind of did save us because it did stall out the early game for the opponent, but
that's
overall,
true.
this is never a card you want to pick.
Wasn't the best. There's a Grand Pulse Ochu, that's the 1-mana Death Toucher. This one's an annoying... I think it's more annoying than good.
Yeah, I agree. That's how most Death Touch creatures are.
Yeah. Summon Girlfriend to Free.
Oh my God, that's the first time I've heard that, and I hate it. Thank you for that.
I actually really like this card. I would never cut it from a red deck. But it's not really going along the Grixis control-y route. I would play it, but the deck that I'm looking to play here is just all kill spells and card draw.
Sure.
And then bomb finishers. This I like more in just your typical run-of-the-mill red decks.
Yeah.
Undercity Dire Rat. That's the 2-mana 2/2. When it dies, make a treasure. I don't mind that in Grixis because you do need a little bit of fixing. It's an early stumbling block. Trades off.
It's a good filler card.
Yeah. Kutrub Forayer, that's the 3-mana 3/2. It has more text on it, but it's literally never done anything. I've never seen either of those abilities go on the stack before.
Yeah, it needs flash.
It desperately needed flash.
Yeah.
Here's a good card. Combat Tutorial, 3-mana sorcery. Target player draws 2 cards, put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. I think this actually should have been my pick here. I'm interested to think if that's.
This is what I'm curious why you didn't pick this. We could finish out the pack here, but I was shocked this isn't what you picked here.
Yeah, given that it is 1/2 of the combo for Grixis card draw, then paired with removal and bombs. But moving on, there's White Auracite, the White O-Ring effect, which taps for mana. I found this one kind of funny. When you're playing like a typical red-white deck or something, in most formats, you want to be finishing your curve at like 4 and 5, right? But this, you're sort of losing a little bit of the value implicit in White Auracite's vector because its vector points in the direction of casting more spells after turn 4. Otherwise, you're not making use of that mana that's tapping for. And O-Rings, you'd expect to cost 3. This one costs 4, so that tapping for mana is sort of like a rebate. So it's like, this wants to be in a white deck that's going bigger.
Yeah.
And I've found that is where the most successful equipment decks kind of land. I found that the Boros equipment decks, they can brawl in the late game in this format.
Well, I think the issue, not the issue, but most of the equipments in this set have such high equip costs because they ETB with that creature, but you're seeing like 4 or 5 mana equip cost on all of these things. Mm-hmm. So if you're going for this kind of Voltron style deck, you really need that mana sink. And this is one of the top white commons, I believe. And I actually, I complained about it in Discord today because I first an opponent who had 4 or 5 of these and just had my whole board exiled.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting take on equipment that maybe slowing the deck down was actually what it needed. Which, I have gotten killed by my red-white opponent while playing like a good, like a green ramp deck on turn 10. And I'm like, I didn't think red-white should be able to grind this hard for this long.
Yeah.
But this allows you to activate those re-equip costs. Dwarven Castle Guard.
Fine.
It's like,
it's like the rat. It's like a filler card.
It's very meh.
Yeah.
Have you played the gold saucer at all into our uncommons here?
I've never played it, but I've had opponents play it against me. And I got to say, there's like a 95% lose rate on that coin flip when I've noticed when they've activated it.
Yeah. I did actually wind up wheeling it and putting it into the deck that I ended up drafting because, spoiler alert, I had an Ancient Copper Dragon in this deck. And I was thinking, what if I happen to have 20 extra artifacts laying around? This 3-tap sack 2 artifacts draw card isn't looking too bad.
And there is that blue rare that lets you double your flips or something like that. I forget what
Then we're going really in.
Yeah.
Rydia's Return. I actually haven't put this in a deck yet.
No, because the overrun ability is kind of muted, and that return 2 permanents is kind of muted for 5 mana. If this was like choose one or both, I just feel like this is outcosted, especially at uncommon.
It's an
Overcosted.
overrun without trample or
Yeah.
evasion or I did have an opponent, you know that I think it's called something rescue something. I don't know. There's too many names in this
Sure.
set. It's the 3 and a white. You make 3 1/1s or tap 3 creatures.
Yeah, and put a
I
stun
had
counter
an
on one.
opponent go that 3 turns in a row and then read his return. I was
Okay.
like, you know what? Sure, you got me.
That is a valid strategy that I keep losing to is people draft like 5 of those rescues and they just keep your board pinned down to the point where you can't do anything.
It's funny. Like the removal's a little expensive. Like look at White Auracite or
Yeah.
Sephiroth's Intervention, or I don't know. Like if you're making 3 1/1s, are you going to Sephiroth Intervention one of the 1/1s? Like
Yeah, that's
it's going to
true.
blank their stuff. But we do have a rare in this pack. Clive's Hideaway.
Cool.
This would have gone well in that Legendaries deck.
I know. I do
you
wish I
showed me
had that. I
earlier.
love that deck.
Yeah, this is it's not. I mean, it's a
It's not
hideaway. It cares about having 4 or more legendaries. I actually did put this in a deck with a ton of legendaries, but the funny thing is, this hides away for 4. Sometimes you end up like putting one of your legendaries under it, and you're
Yep.
like, well, do I even have enough to get it out?
Pre-release, I end up with a town deck. I end up with 10 towns, and I stuck it in here just because it was a town. But I ended up getting rid of things I wanted because I could never activate it. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
kind of a
bummer.
non-bow in a lot of decks.
Yeah. So back to the moment at hand. Really, the most important thing here is I took Treno over Combat Tutorial, and in hindsight, I do think it may have been a mistake. I
Sure.
think the fixing is important if you're doing True Grixis. You want like 4 or 5 duels,
Mhm.
and I guess this just speaks to how highly I do value them.
I don't think you're wrong. I mean, obviously you're not wrong, right? Like it's a valid discussion, but I feel like Combat Tutorial is just the blue draw effects in this limited format are just so powerful. Like they seem to really
Yeah.
drive games.
I think Combat Tutorial should have been my pick, but I think it's like 60-40. I don't think I was to it wrong here,
Sure. No, I
but I
don't. Yeah.
do think I was wrong.
How did this deck end up playing out in the end? That's the real question.
Oh, it was a 3-0. This deck was sick.
Okay. Just making
Here,
sure.
check it out. So this is what the deck ended up looking like. I did end up picking up a Combat Tutorial as well as 2
Nice.
Travel the Overworlds.
Beautiful. Oh, and there's that Copper Dragon.
Yep. This thing was beautiful. So
Looks
this deck was maybe my favorite deck of the format so far. I had as much of everything as I wanted. The only card I would have replaced given the chance was this Namazu Trader. I didn't like this card very much. The good thing was usually I could just drop to like 10 cards in hand and pitch it, so it didn't really ever matter too much.
How was Kane? I've never played with Kane before.
Yeah, so this is a funny one. I decided that my deck's vector was I just want so many cards in my hand, and I'm gonna be. I took the risk here. I love breaking symmetry, you know that.
Yeah.
And Kane ultimately is a symmetrical card with maybe 2 caveats. The first one is you get access to the stuff first. So Kane, for those that don't remember, it's the rare. It's 2 and a black, 2/4. And when it deals combat damage to a player, that player gains control of Kane. If they do, you draw that many cards, create that many tapped treasures, and lose that much life. So, and it has flying during your turn. So it basically always connects. So the fact that I knew I could use those 2 extra cards, that 2 extra mana, I was using that to ramp into my side quest Hunt the Mark, into my Ancient Copper Dragon, into my cheap removal. Because what do you want with cheap removal? Card draw and mana. This kind of checked those boxes, and I had a ton of cheap interaction. Thunder, Suplex, I had a good blockers in the early game. I felt like my deck was hungry for this effect.
Mhm.
And it actually ended up playing out really well. And
Nice.
here's the other way you can break it. You just stop attacking with it when it's no longer good.
It's true. Yeah.
Like let your
That
opponent
that
lose a
4
little
butt
life.
is pretty relevant.
Yeah, it's a 3-mana 2/4. And the flying during your turn, when you need to chip in for that last little lethal damage, it does the job. So I've passed this card late before. I would be a little more interested in this from this point onwards.
Nice.
It fit well in this list.
I see you have Cecil in this deck, and I think we're going to talk about Cecil in a little bit, but I hate that card.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about Cecil. All right. I think we should just hop right into into our discussion. Let's hand it to Final Fantasy, man, because I don't think there were many haters and doubters bigger than myself on this one. I still think Final Fantasy is a silly IP. I think there's a lot of nonsense.
You skipped the pre-release, I believe, right? Like you were like off of this.
I
Like,
was very
fully.
and I never skip a pre-release. I don't want to own these cards in
No, I agree. We weren't even going to do a set review. You know, like we were just going to like pretend this didn't exist, but you know, here we are, kind of biting our tongues or regretting. Like, it's just a great format, you know.
Yeah. And like you mentioned earlier, it does give me MH3 vibes where they're high-powered cards, they're complex, but in a way, they're also kind of clean. Like, it's nice that maybe in a way, a lot of the equity of the complexity equity, we could call it, was put into the big flashy rares and mythics that have a million words and do 15 different mechanics. And it's like, sure, those have to exist, whatever. Hopefully the new players don't get turned off by them. Their market research probably said they didn't, so fine. But then a lot of the other cards to go with them are just like, consider Undercity Dire Rat. 2 mana, 2/2 dies to a treasure. That's
classic.
Honestly, you know? As far as Magic designs in recent days go, that's very clean.
Very, There's a lot of just like, like simple cards. You like that dwarf we talked about that dies, it creates a 1/1. Like, these are very just classic Magic cards with a Final Fantasy covering on them.
You gotta hand it to him. And you gotta hand it to Final Fantasy in another way, which is even 2 months ago, people realized that this was the best-selling Magic the Gathering set of all time. And now that it's 2 months past and the set has been sold and continues to sell, I heard stories about I think it was at the Pro Tour just this past weekend, which I watched. Did you watch any of the top 8 of that?
No, I didn't. Unfortunately, I caught a couple of like from the draft, but that's about it.
Yeah, the top 8 was funny, dude. It was it was 4 mono red decks and 4 blue red prowess decks.
I heard it was all that this weekend.
And supposedly this bracket happened randomly. I'm sure there's a clause somewhere that says they're allowed to do this if they want to, but it worked out to be the 4 red decks in part of the bracket and 4 Corey Steel decks in part of the bracket.
It's funny.
So it was like they got the best
from both sides
deck and then the best mono red deck. But the funny thing is, mono red has a good matchup against Corey Steel. So it was like,
in the end, it doesn't matter.
Made for an interesting viewing experience. We'll say that. Anywho, so apparently people were buying and selling the Final Fantasy boxes at exorbitant prices over the weekend. So much so that people at the Pro Tour were playing the Arena Direct in between their matches to go get boxes and then know that they could then flip them for like a profit.
They're $1,000 collector boxes at this point. And, you know, I think this is my biggest complaint from this. It's starting to feel like Pokemon with these scalpers now. Like, we're getting to the point where, like, it isn't so much about playing the Magic cards, it's about owning them. Like, you can't go to Walmart now and find cards like you used to. Like, it's a whole different thing. And the fact that, like, they're increasing the price on some of these Arena Directs, even though this is a standard set, and whatever, we can complain all we want. In the end, it is a great draft format, and I'm happy it worked out, you know, but there are still some issues.
I guess it's a good thing that this managed to be a good limited environment, because like I think if it hadn't and it was this successful, I think all of us limited heads would be like, are they going to realize they don't need us? Because like, imagine if they saw that all the drafters fell off after like week 1, but then everyone was still buying the set and they made $1 billion. Then Hasbro makes a call and says, oh, we don't need them anymore.
We don't have to put effort into making this a draftable set. Like, there's going to be no synergy. There's no signpost on commons anymore. We're just going to make something that people are just going to buy because they're going to buy it. And it's an IP they love.
And that would obviously be apocalyptic for limited lovers. Although, you know, as we like to say, Cube will outlive Magic. So
that's true.
I'm not super worried on my end, but it is nice to get these new environments, and we want to continue getting good new environments. So I think it's good that this has been this successful. And, you know, the price, we have to make a whole episode under that. But
you can't even get a play booster box for like under 200 right now. You know, it's whatever. I'm going to complain the whole time, but it's fine.
There is another Arena Direct coming up for play boosters, so we'll have to maybe jam a little more of those. But
hopefully they're not 8,000 gems.
All all I'm going to say is my skepticism has been somewhat doused regarding Universes Beyond. I was afraid they were going to let Limited fall to the wayside, but it's, I should have known that Wizards is putting their people on this and people who care. And I'm not going to lie, I'm going to buy a hell of a lot of Avatar because the Avatar set.
What if that's a bad draft?
I'm already thinking about making a cube for that.
Firebender, Earthbender. Yeah, it's interesting.
It's going to be awesome. Now, Spider-Man, Spider-Man is my favorite superhero.
Sure.
I still don't want that set to happen. If I could flick a switch to make it not happen, I think I would. But
we're in a very interesting time for Magic,
for sure.
Very interesting.
Now, let's dive into how some of these cards have actually been playing out, because within this format, we have a lot to talk about. Sure. We got to discuss the vectors during our format breakdown. Listener, if you haven't heard our format breakdown yet, or more importantly, if you haven't seen it yet, oh my God. The visuals on that, Tyler really knocked them out of the park. But I think it's actually worth discussing some of the rares. During our format breakdowns, we didn't really get the chance to talk about rares. We were more talking about commons and uncommons, but there are a handful of rares. We've each curated a list for ourselves of things we want to discuss either for good reasons or bad reasons. Maybe some of these are duds. I guess you'll have to listen and find out. Let's dive into it. First on the list, Arden the Usurper. That's the 8-mana 4/4, the black reanimate things. It's basically God Pharaoh's gift on a stick, except it gives them menace and lifelink too. I don't think there's a single card I want to see more in a pack than Arden.
I was going to say, this is a card you have to answer before you get to combat, or it's just game over, because I don't think you can recover from this. This card's insane. It actually makes me upset to look at it on the screen right now, because I'm having trauma flashbacks to losing. I'll let you talk about it. This is obviously your pick, but this is a card where your opponent is about to lose the game and they drop this turn 8 and they just win.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do think there are a couple of these cards that do deserve criticism. This is one that I do think deserves a little bit of design criticism, because I never love, like you mentioned, a game where there have been a lot of important decisions made by both players.
Yep.
And then all of those decisions are immediately thrown away in favor of, I drew this one card that I pick one and put in my deck.
Yep. I win.
Game over. And sure, it's 8 mana, but that's not that hard to do in this format. It's a slower format. A ramp deck can do it. A card draw deck hitting its land drops can do it.
This is the
colors that can't do it are white and red, and this is a black card. So.
This goes in a lot of this. Obviously, cares about graveyard. It goes in green black. Green has a ton of ramp in this format. You can get this out so early. It targets both graveyards too, so this thing's always going to have something. Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah. So I do think this could have been toned down a little bit. I think giving the thing lifelink may have been a little.
That's what kind of changes the game, because if your opponent's so low, they're automatically getting 5 life this turn.
Or have a stopgap where if this leaves, the demons all get sacked or something. I think this card needs one change, and it's a rare. At least make it a mythic. Come on.
Yeah. You're gonna get those ETB effects off the creature you copy, any abilities.
And I'm saying this as someone who's done probably more winning with this card than losing to it. I still just think it's unfair.
It's funny.
I feel good.
I've never casted this. I had this in one deck where I had the rare ninja card that let you discard and then hit the opponent for the amount of CMC. I killed an opponent with this card by throwing it at them. That's the only victory I have with that.
So you technically won with Arden.
Yeah, in an indirect way.
What's your first pick?
So this is funny. This is a card I never really thought about. This is Genji Glove. So this is the 5-mana artifact. It gives equipped creatures double strike, but it also says whenever equipped creature attacks, if it's the first combat phase, untap it. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. My one gripe with this, a lot of the rare, I think all of the rare equipment, most of the rare equipment, ETB, and they don't create a 1/1 hero. I've lost games because I thought this was going to create a 1/1. That's my own fault for not reading the card, whatever. But this is one of those cards I never thought I was going to play, but I love, and I always pick it when I see it. My favorite thing to do with this is attach to a creature and then play, what's it called? I have it written. Tifa's Limit Breaker, which lets you triple something's power.
Oh my god.
It's just one of those funny cards. This is total never really happens, but hitting somebody for 15 3 times out of nowhere, 4 times out of nowhere is just hilarious to me. I just had to mention it. That's really it. There's nothing really special about this card.
Yeah, no, that is fun. I've gotten to play with this one too. It's played out a lot better than I expected, and
Me
I do think
too.
it's because of what we said earlier about how red white can take it to the late game.
Yeah.
It's effects like this that let it do that.
And it's such a slow format. Like a lot of these cards are so expensive, and a lot of the equipment have really expensive equip costs. But like these games go on so long, it really doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. I do dislike that it doesn't buff power and toughness,
I
but
agree.
like even on like say you slap this on like a 2/3.
Yep.
Now it's a 2/3 double striker and it's attacking twice this turn.
Yeah.
You have to respect that card now. And it was
Yes.
a 2/3. Like
Yeah. All flyers become terrifying.
oh yeah. Put this on the Dwarven Castle Guard, and even then you have a bit of a problem. It's
I
hitting
think-
for 8.
Yeah, Galley Cat. This goes well with Galley Cat, which is the it's the 1/3
3/3,
vigilance,
yeah.
and it becomes a 3/3. Yeah, no, it does some damage.
Up next, I've got Cecil Dark Knight. I'm not going to pretend I know what the backside's name is because I only put the front on the show notes. But Cecil Dark Knight is a very funny one. 1 mana, 2/3 Death Toucher. And if you, whenever it hits or deals damage to any target, you lose that much life. I've actually found it's kind of funny. If you buff it, you can get people, you can flip it before people expect. Because if your life total is less than half of your starting life total, it flips into a 4/4 lifelinker, and then when you attack with it, other stuff gets indestructible. 1 mana, 4/4 lifelinker is a very good magic card. If you have to pay a little bit of life to get there, that's no problem. So I do like combining this card with other effects like pump spells to sometimes like snipe my opponent with it and like ping myself for like 5 and then ping and then like flip it earlier than they expected. I found that there's a lot of ways to use this card. It is also just a 1 mana Death Toucher, and sometimes you just trade it off with their 4/4, and you're like, "Yep, that's all it needs to do."
I hate this card. Every time
Yeah.
I've played this, I feel like it hurts me more in the end because I'll hit them and I'll drain myself and I'll get myself to 10, and then they just kill it. So in essence, I just did 10 damage to myself to help the opponent.
Yeah,
That's the
there's that.
trade-off, obviously. I guess that's kind of the reason for this card being only 1 mana, but I always feel like it does more damage to me. And then it becomes a liability if you're at 2 life. You can't do anything with it.
It's something of a carnivorous death parrot. You know that old uncard. The flavor text says, or no. So the ability on the card, if I remember right, you sacrifice the card at the beginning of your upkeep unless you say it's flavor text.
Oh my
and its flavor text is, don't forget to save a kill spell for this guy.
Yeah.
So you have to like every turn you got to be like, by the way, opponent, don't forget to save a kill spell for this guy, and then you hit them for 2 in the air again. And Cecil's kind of like a face-up death parrot, where it's like, you're telling your opponent, by the way, opponent, don't forget to save a kill spell because in a couple turns this is going to be a 4/4 lifelink.
This is going to be a problem.
It's face up, like they know it's coming.
Sure.
They have control over when it happens. That said, I do still think it's broken into constructed formats. People were playing it in standard, and I think I may have seen it floating around in some older formats too, like Ninja's decks.
Interesting.
It's a really good attacker to return to get like a Kaito into play. I'm not surprised. It's a good card.
My next one, I've summoned Primal Odin here. I just love this card. So this is the 4 and 2 black for the 5/3 summon. Has 3 chapters. First chapter, when it ETBs, is destroy target creature and opponent controls. Chapter 2, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. Whatever. Basically, when this creature hits your opponent, they just lose the game.
Yeah.
Hilarious, right? Like, come on. And then if it makes it to chapter 3, if you don't win the game by chapter 2, chapter 3 lets you draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, which is fine. I just love these types of effects because I love trying to force them to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I talked about this on the pod already. Like, giving this thing trample out of nowhere when your opponent just chump blocks it has been one of the most satisfying things I think I've done in this set to date. It's happened twice now. Because there's a common ability to just give trample. It's the green. Favorite thing to happen so far. That's really all I have to say about this card.
I died to that chapter 2 twice today from 2 different
Today? Oh my god.
And admittedly, I have a bad habit when it comes to some problem. You know me, I'm beaten down, and they're like at 5, and they top deck Odin. They kill one of my 5 guys. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna leave like 2 things back to block it. I'm gonna make them like top deck. I'm gonna make them have to have 2 like answers.
Sure.
And then they have it. And I'm like,
well, they have one rescue or whatever, and it just tap down your whole board.
yeah. So it's like, all right, I guess I deserve it sometimes. But today it was when my one opponent cast. It was an idiot check. It was just like, do you have a kill spell? Because I had nothing on board, and I had a bunch of like card draw effects and kill spells in my hand that couldn't hit it, and I was like, okay.
There's a reason to hate this. Don't get me wrong. I just haven't. I'm enjoying when I'm on the winning side.
I haven't actually gotten to kill anyone with that effect yet, so maybe I haven't seen it from the
fair enough,
the right side. Here's a card I've been putting in quite a few decks. Old Joshy. Josh Phoenix is dominant. 3 mana, 3/4 ETB, rummage for 2, and then flip it into a Phoenix that's like a flying lifelinker, lightning helixer. And then the final chapter of the saga on the back reanimates a bunch of stuff. I know for a fact this card is very well up both of our alleys.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's Boros. It's already up my alley.
Yeah, I mean, you're more of a Boros mage than I am, but when I do dabble in Boros, this is the kind of thing I like to see. Just like a big flying lifelinker, and this just does Phoenix. So much stuff. Yeah. Like, I had a really good game with this card recently, where I had an opponent with like 5 cards in hand, tons of untapped mana. I had a Joshua in play, and they were at 2, and I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. And I just like flipped it, and I was like, can you stop this? And they like took a long time. They got priority. They clearly had some sort of instant or effect, and then just nothing, and they just died to it. I'm like, awesome. that works. So I actually do think Joshua is one of those rare multicolored cards that's worth first picking. It's like, I don't know, forcing red-white isn't always a sound strategy, but
it's a good enough card.
I think this card is good enough. Like, I see this and I'm like, yep, that's a reason to be in 2 colors.
Yep.
What's next on your list?
Yeah, this is a weird one. So this is Balam Garden Seed Academy with a big D for some reason. This is a rare land. I think this is the only rare dual land in the set. And this kind of plays into why I really like this card. I love this card.
I do too.
Yeah, so enters tapped, taps for either green or blue. It also has a mana or an activated ability where you pay 5 green and a blue, tap, transform this land. This ability costs 1 less to cast for each, or 1 activate for less. I'm gonna reset that.
Sure.
It also has an ability for 7, 5 colorless, 1 green and a blue. Tap and transform this land. It costs 1 less to activate for each town you control. You're gonna have a ton of towns in this. Usually, you're playing these colors. But it flips into a vehicle, a 5/4 with flying, and a cruise for 1. And whenever it attacks, you draw a card. Nobody pays attention to these dual lands. There's only 1 rare dual land. So when you see this on the field, people aren't thinking about it. Yep. You go to the opponent's end of turn, you transform this thing. You have a 5/4 flyer on your turn. They don't see this coming. It attacks you, draw a card. Flyers are rare, and I think there's 1 reach card in this set. So flyers are pretty relevant in this format. So I just love this card. This is my favorite thing to flip and just start beating the opponent down. They never expect it. Nobody pays attention to it.
I'm sure you've also flipped this thing for 2.
Oh, 100%. It's so easy to flip.
Yeah. Every time my opponent plays the blue-green, it's the only common duel whose name I know, Guado Salam.
Yeah.
I know it's either Guado Salam or Balam, and one of those I care a lot more about than the other.
It's just nobody pays attention to it. Like, it gets kind of forgotten until it's too late.
And then it's a 5 power fly. It clocks for 5.
And it draws a card on attack.
Yeah. So great pick. I also love this card. It feels like it's that icing on top of the Towns deck where you have like a decent Towns deck. You have like maybe a couple Ignis Scientia, a couple Gubu Gardener, a couple like maybe like a Traverse the Overworld, some like good card draw, maybe not so many good finishers. And then you see this and you're like it'll be like pack 3, pick 6. And you're like,
we're back.
Yeah, that's how you know.
I see your next pick. I'm already mad. I don't.
This I wanted to discuss, not for gameplay reasons, but for, well, this is the Regalia.
Yeah.
This is a stupid car.
There's just 4 guys in a car.
This is just the car. And I gotta say, there have been other vehicles that have approached looking like cars. Look at Kaladesh, right? We're about to get a whole set, apparently, of spaceships. So whatever.
But this is just a car. This looks like an Audi I'd see out in the street.
This is just a car. You can find that on the road. There's yellow lines on the road. Does this mean that like are there zoning laws in Magic too? Like are there like
if you see the full art planes of this set, it's just the street. Like I know I knew. I just hate that this card exists. It doesn't even look good. You know, like
no, it doesn't. Like
this isn't a screenshot from the game. Like some of the
it has no excuse.
No excuse. They made it like this. No offense to the artist, but this is just a boring
no offense to the artist. I think artists deserve far less blame than they ever get, which is already not that much. I think the art direction here was bad.
It's all it's got to be Watsy on this one.
And you know what? I'm going to go as far as to criticize the decision to include this. I'm going to take a stab at the designers on this one.
Sure.
Why this? You can't tell me this was the card you had to put in it. I haven't played the game, but you're telling me the most iconic thing from this Final Fantasy game was a
car.
A car?
We're probably so wrong. It's probably like the biggest thing in that set or in that game.
Stupid. Anyway, it's a good card. Take it. I see this card like fourth pick sometimes. I'm like, why? Just it's a 4-mana 4/4 haste. There's crew 1, which is the only good crew cost. Let's be honest. And it hits a land every time. Ramping is what every color pair does. Kind of I put this in red white. Like your red white decks can make use of extra lands, and it's just a 4-mana 4/4. Like
artifacts matter in some formats too, or in some vectors.
Yeah, I have always been happy with this, and if my opponent plays it, I just kind of groan to myself because I'm thinking like they're going to ramp up to something big.
Sure.
I'm not surprised by your next pick.
No. The only reason this card is here is because it is a bird. So this is Choco, Seeker of Paradise. It's the Bant bird that makes birds matter thing. We didn't really have to talk about it, but we have to talk about it. So whenever one or more birds you control attacks, you look at that many top from the library. You may put one into your hand, and then put any number of land cards from among the battlefield tapped, resting in your graveyard, has landfall. I love this card. If I see this like pack 2, like pick 3, I'm switching my entire strategy. I don't care.
I had a deck where I started blue-white artifacts, and I saw this like pick 5. I was like, ooh,
because it is really that good too. Like you're gonna, in Bant, like you're gonna have a ton of those Chocobo tokens, and this thing, like, depending on how many you have, this thing can like bring a ton of lands on the field, pump everything up, and it really is almost a finisher in that sense. I love this card. I love birds.
Yeah. I do think I like getting into this deck a little later. I think because I think this deck, like per table, I think one person can be the Chocobo deck.
Oh, definitely. And they're good. They're powerful.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's a little illusory though. Like Geisal Greens, for example. I don't actually think it's that good of a card.
Yeah.
And like it's a very important card in the Chocobo deck. I also think Call the Mountain Chocobo is an insanely good combo.
Very good. Yeah.
It's not in these colors though.
No.
So there's a tension there.
That card fits better in more of the 4 CMC kind of strategy.
Yeah.
Because it creates a body, activates your 4 cost, and fetches you a land. Like it's perfect in that. That. I agree. It doesn't really fit into this strategy. Obviously,
I don't think it's
colors.
Yeah, I don't think it's super surprising that red green has struggled a little bit because it sort of got backdoored into landfall, which is actually the card I want to talk about next, Tifa Lockhart. But red green, I've had a little bit of success with. I think the color is just wrong on Call the Mountain Chocobo. If it was Call the Forest Chocobo, I think you could reasonably make a really good green-white or green-blue like Chocobo deck, probably green-white-ish, but the fact that Call the Mountain Chocobo is not in Choco's colors, I think really hurt the deck.
I agree.
That said, if you can wind up in like a funny, good fixing, like Bant-ish pile with a couple copies of Raise a Chocobo that flips into the black Chocobo that has like the Lord effect on the landfall trigger. I had an opponent who I didn't respect the birds enough. They swung with like a bunch of 8/2s. And I was like, what am I supposed to do about this?
Yes, and some in the Fat Chocobo is a really powerful effect. That Trample is a super relevant ability in this set.
Especially
and giving it, well, I was going to say, giving it to all your 8/2s is crazy. So yeah, no, it works. But I agree with what you had to say. Like there has to be one Chocobo player because you really need the deck to come together.
Now, let me put you onto something fun here. Have you played with Tifa Lockhart at all?
Yes, and every time I do, it feels like a trap.
Yeah, it is a trap.
Yeah,
but it's a fun one.
I love fun traps.
Yeah. So hear me out. Prishy's Gatherings or Wanderings, whatever it's called. The tuna
instant?
green, the instant ramp effect where you fetch out a land. If you can put like 2 Tifa Lockharts and 2 Prishy's Wanderings in a deck, and then you top end it with a it's that guy with I think it's called something Solenticia. It's the Gruul. It's the baby primeval titan.
Yeah.
So you can stack that guy's effects where, like the landfall happens, and then there's also the +2/+2.
Sure.
So you stack the effect from Ignis, I think his name is, and then you stack Tifa Lockhart's doubling trigger. So here's what happens: you play land per turn. Tifa goes to 2. You play Ignis. Landfall trigger happens again. Tifa doubles to 4, and then hold on, no, you stack the trigger. It works out. She winds up being like a 16.
It's ridiculous.
You hit for $1 billion.
Tifa versus one Thunder Magic.
I've only successfully done this like one time, but this is the kind of depth that I like in a format that keeps me coming back. It's like, I got close once, and if given the opportunity, I would do it again.
I love glass cannon cards so much, and this is like the epitome of that to me.
Oh yeah,
fun one. This is a weird one for me. This is Summon Girlfriend Cerberus. So this is the 4 mana 3/3, 3 chapters. First chapter is just Surveil. Chapter 2 and 3 are double and triple respectively. Which just doubles or triples your instants or sorceries depending on which chapter you're on. And I don't know what the 17 lands data on this card is, but this card always seems to be a late game pass to me. And I don't know if I'm just wrong on it, but I love this card. I was able to triple my Traverse the Overworld once, which just felt disgusting.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those cards where, like, I don't know if this is a win more card, and maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But I have a great time with it. It just always seems to come to me. Maybe I should have done some research before we hopped into this. I see you're trying to look up the 17 lands data potentially, but it's just one of those, like, it'll be like pack 2, pick 8, and like this gets to me. I'm like, what happened?
It's got a 51.8%.
Yeah, okay, all right. So maybe it is just a win more. It's just a card that I secretly love.
For context, that's just below Mysidian Elder, the 3 mana 1/3 that ETBs to make a wizard.
All right, that's a good card too. I feel like.
I'm shocked to see that GF Ifrit is down at 50% win rate.
Wow.
That's really surprising to me.
Embarrassing. I put that on one of the top rated red comments.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It's way below Call the Mountain Chocobo, which is at a very comfortable 57% win rate, which is just a little bit beneath Thunder Magic at 58%.
Yeah, Thunder Magic's great. All right, so this is just one of those, because it really is kind of a win more, because you're going to have to set this up, and if you're casting spells, doubling, like, maybe it's not win more, but you really do have to kind of build into it. But I love these type of effects.
I will say I did manage to triple with this. What looks like second best red card.
Nice.
Which is Choco Comet.
Oh my god.
X equals 9.
9? That's disgusting. That's hilarious though.
You know what? It was GF Ifrit floating the mana, that helped me cast
our hero.
So, I mean, looking at the win rate data on some of these cards is kind of funny. The best red card in the set seems to be Nibelheim of Flame. That's the sort of wrath effect, where choose something, deals its damage to equal to power to a creature. But then not too far behind it, Nibelheim of Flame is about 64%. Choco Comet at 61%.
Wow.
All right, hot take time. I don't think Sephiroth is that good.
No. It feels like your last pick, Tifa here. It is kind of a trap card. Where you really want to play it because it's like the mythic from the set. Like this and Cloud are like it, right? Like for Final Fantasy players.
Yeah.
But in limited, it's not great.
And don't get me wrong. It's a playable. It's like a solid playable. But I I haven't been picking it that highly. It's got a very high win rate. It's at 62%. But I do find that you can't just throw it in any deck.
No.
I think it'll be fine in most black decks. Obviously, it has a solid win rate, so it's going to be. But I do think to maximize it, you really do want to kind of lean into there. I don't think you should expect to flip it, which is what I was kind of building towards.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to try to make... I had a deck with Sephiroth and then 3 of those, the other 3-mana aristocrats. And then I was like, all right, let me like try to get a bunch of sack fodder and make like a sacrifice deck. But the format doesn't really have the pieces for a true aristocrats deck in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Black-white isn't really doing that. It's kind of doing other stuff.
It wants to, but it's not quite there.
Yeah, it's like doing value-y stuff instead, like some graveyard, some like light sacrifice, like heck dies, that kind of thing. But it's not, you're not gonna blood artist someone out of the game with like a free sack. It's not like a Nantuko Husk like combo. So when you see this, don't get too excited like I did. Know that it's still a good card, but I don't think that aristocrats vector is worth building towards. Just put this in a deck. Try to find some cheap fodder like heck dies or other things that can die and come back to be able to like sack to this thing. But don't think you need to go all in on it for it to be good. I think that was the trap that I fell into. I tried going into its vector too hard. And in Constructed, this card is going to be a powerhouse.
Oh, 100%.
Like, or in Commander, obviously. I mean,
the price on this card alone is insane.
I believe it. Actually, my next pick, a different Sephiroth, I think we'll talk about later, is one that I'm much happier to put in a deck in limited. But let's talk about yours first.
Sure. So this is a strange one, too. This is Ultima, Origin of Oblivion. This is the 5-mana 4/4 flyer. Tax, put a blight counter on something. I'm just talking about cards I really love playing. I'm realizing, I guess that's kind of what this roundup is. But flyers are really powerful in this set to me. Azorius Flyer seems to be a very powerful vector if you can kind of get into it. Yeah. And I just love this card because it gets to a point where you just lock your opponent out. Like you just put blight counters on enough of their like blue mana that they just can't use it anymore.
It's me.
And I just like picking on my opponents. Like that's what most of the cards I seem to pick are. Like the last one, the CF Cerberus is just tripling my stuff. And like the Primal Odin just destroying my opponent. So I think
your next card's also a real jerk move.
Yeah, I think all the cards I've picked are just jerk cards. Honestly, I'm learning now. So maybe I'm just kind of an ass. As I've been learning about myself. This is a self-exploratory. But Ultima's a card I, again, was never really keen on until I got to play it. And I kind of fell in love with it.
I actually haven't gotten to play this one. I haven't really seen it. People, I think, pick it highly given that it's colorless and it has a strong effect.
And it flies. Yeah.
It throws me off a little bit in that it's templated a lot like an Eldrazi would be. I see the word Oblivion. I see the colorless symbols. I see blight counters on lands.
It doubles your waste mana.
Yeah.
This goes into every
Eldrazi.
Yeah.
So.
We'll see what happens when Edge comes out. This Edge of Eternities comes out. Because this might be more relevant for that. We'll see. Your next card's a beautiful picture, by the way.
Now, for all the criticism we've given some of the Final Fantasy arts, you can't argue with this one. I love whatever's going on here. This is Sephiroth the Savior, which may be better known as Atraxa Grand Unifier, which, I mean, should we even read this card? It's the...
Do we have to?
Well, I can never remember. Is this, no, not Glintai. Is this Dune Brood? Do you know the names of all the Nephilim?
Oh, no.
Technically, the 4-color, I guess it's still a wedge. The 4-color wedges are denoted by the color of their absence. So, like, this Atraxa is non-red, but these are like wedges are named after these old cards called Nephilim, which like were printed that cost exactly those 4 pips. So then colloquially, you'd refer to that wedge as the name of the Nephilim, and I can never remember.
Because they're the weirdest names. They're not like basic, they're like the most strange sounding
looks
thing.
Like this one's Witchmaw is the name of this. So no red is Witchmaw. And all right, let's do it. Let's do our listeners a service here. I'm going to pull this up and show it off. Let's do a little enlightening in the crowd here. Look, I'm a teacher. It's my summer off, but it's worth talking about. So Witchmaw is minus red. Ink Treader is minus black. Your Tiller's minus green. Glint Eye was one I was thinking of. That's minus white. Dune Brood is minus blue. These are all really cool looking Magic cards.
Oh, super cool. I hate that they're not legendary. That's the only thing about these cards.
Why the hell are they not legendary?
Did I just ruin them for you, Ben?
Why are these? That's Gavin Verhey.
This is Gavin's fault here.
Gavin, can we fix this? Can we? That's insane. Surely they'll make new ones someday. But what set is that's Ravnica, right? That's
is this Dissension?
Ravnica.
I think this might be Dissension.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's the original Ravnica block. I don't go that far back. I don't know. Anyway, Atraxa. What more is there to say about Atraxa? It's a busted card. At ETBs, you look at the top 10 cards in your library, you take one of each type. You're not going to hit a battle in this set, but you're going to get one of everything else, and then you're going to draw like 6 cards, and you're going to win the game.
No.
Because it's also, in addition to drawing 6 cards or so, which in this set might be worth doing for 7 mana flat. You might put a sorcery that costs this that said do that ETB effect in your deck. Like, especially in the Towns deck, where this is, funny enough, actually easier to cast than like 3 blue, right? Because you have all the fixing, you have all the towns by that point. And then, by the way, it is also a 7/7 flying lifelink Death Touch Vigilance. So that will usually also just kill them.
Stupid card.
And if you can reanimate it or put it back in your hand and cast it again somehow, like, this card is a joke. Like, I splashed it in a blue-red deck, and it was amazing. That's the level of Magic card we're talking about here. So do not pass this card. Put it in any deck you can.
Yeah, I think it has the highest win rate in the set, does it not? I remember somebody telling me that.
Yep. I got 17 hands up. It is a full percentage point above the next best thing.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that is not at all surprising, though. And that next best thing, Smuggler's Copter, looks like.
That's okay. I forgot that was in this too. This bonus sheet is insane.
You know what else is up there? There are a couple regular cards. Saz Catstoy the green, the Chocobo guy. Arden obviously up there, 65-ish. Dion, Bahamut's Dominant up
Dion's
there.
Gonna be up there, yeah.
But then also Urza, Lord High Artificer, and Winota, Joiner of Forces.
I got crushed by a Winota deck the other day, and I was like, I'm having like, this is like, what am I playing right now?
What format is this? Honestly, like,
the fact that I got Winota, which was like abandoned brawl, people got like tired of playing Winota decks. I was like, this is, oh my God, I feel going crazy.
Winota, if I recall, was banned in Standard. If I remember right, people were playing these Winota piles where they would, you would attack with all these random little junkers, and you would put in Agents of Treachery to like steal their lands and stuff.
It's a stupid Magic card.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have a much smaller follow up after Atraxa. I feel like Atraxa is like the grand finale, but I have Jekt, the Reluctant Guardian. So this card's really good. Like, it flips into, it's easy to flip. So whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may exile it and transform it. I don't care about the other side right now. I'm here to complain about this card.
Yeah.
Because this for me, this is just for me. Whenever I play this card, it never works. And whenever my opponent plays this card, it always works. And this is the only card this format that I can never flip, but my opponents can seem to flip regardless of what happens.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about Jekt.
I don't know what the backside says because, like you, I have found that it either never lives there or a player concedes before it happens.
Yes.
So I got idiot checked by it today. My opponent cast it. I looked at my hand. I couldn't stop it. And I had one creature in play. Yeah. And this thing has menace. And I was like, okay. I don't even need to know what the chapters do. I see that 7/7 on the back, and I'm like... Yeah.
It's a 7/7. First two chapters make your opponent discard a card, I believe, and then you draw a card. And I think the 7's like they have to sacrifice 2 creatures. It's just stupid. Yeah. But it never works for me, and it always works for them. So, screw this card.
Yeah. For our last 2 shout-outs, we've got some
powerhouses,
fun ones from the past. Yeah, Ancient Copper Dragon, which gotta shout out this art too. This is pretty metal. I do like what's going on here. Ancient Copper Dragon is a 6-mana, 6/5 flyer, and when it hits them, you roll d20, and then you make that many treasures, and they're not tapped. You get to use them right away. And I rolled for a D equals 17 today, and that was
money.
I told you about this. I
Yeah.
immediately cast the draw 4. It's like, oh, let's get into it. So that felt pretty great. How about you? What's your last pick here?
So this is a card I didn't even know was in it. So this is like, I think this is my pack 3 pick 1 for this example here, and I was in the Towns deck already. So this is Astral Titan, which is Primeval Titan. And for those who don't know who Primeval Titan is, it's a 6 mana giant with trample. It's a 6/6, but ETBs or attacks search your library for 2 land cards. That's not basic lands. That's 2 land cards.
Two
So this
towns.
fetches 2 towns and put them on a battlefield tap. This card's insane. This card's banned in like every format. Like the fact that it's in the bonus sheet and you could just draft this is crazy.
It's funny.
Yeah, I love this card. And the art too on this one is amazing.
Shout out to people that play Primetime and Modern with like Amulet Titan.
Yeah.
I've looked at those decks. The lines and sequences, like you got to be a real masochist. You got to be a real messed up Magic player to enjoy that kind of thing. Full respect to you though, if you listener are a modern Primeval Titan player.
Master.
Yeah, we have some news to talk about this week. It's been a bit. Some things have come up. There's a new draft format happening. You pick 2. Sorry to trigger any
super salad with that, Ben, or bacon turkey
Bravo. What's your you pick 2 order?
Oh my god, really going this. So for those who don't know, I worked at Panera for a couple of years, and you pick 2 is what you can order from there. And the fact that they're calling this is very traumatizing for me. Medveg and corn chowder, by the way. Yeah.
I forget the name of it, but I think it's like the autumnal squash.
Oh, autumn squash. Autumnal? What are we, linguists here?
I don't know the name of this
people go to Panera and say autumnal.
I don't go to Panera that often. I don't know the name of the stuff. All I know is that there's a delicious butternut squash soup.
Yes. Yeah.
That's half, and then I usually get the it's like a chicken ciabatta or something.
Chicken chipotle maybe. Oh, ciabatta sandwich.
It's on a ciabatta.
They change it up too much. Everything comes frozen. Everything comes in a bag.
Don't tell me that. I don't want to know that.
We're not handcrafting the soups in the back house.
Yeah, that's all right. I believe you. The soup is delicious. Anyway, there's a you pick 2 draft format, which it sounds like they may be implementing at large events, at game stores, potentially even on Arena, where I guess this would have been a little more awkward when there were 15 card packs, but now that there are 14 card packs, it works out a little nicer. It starts with everyone of your 4-player pod takes 2 cards from a pack and then passes it, which I guess in the era of play boosters, this gets kind of funny because you just get to like kind of hedge. You could hedge with 2 rares. Like if you could open like a white bomb and a black bomb and just take them both. And that's this could add a really interesting layer to this. We have seen formats like this before, particularly with Commander draft sets, where it's like they've always kind of done this because those packs were a little bigger usually.
20 card packs,
Yeah, and they wanted to make sure you got the chance to pick up a Commander. So I always liked doing those draft sets where you got to draft 2. I am dubiously interested. I don't know if more limited stuff is what we need right now. I think good limited stuff is what we need right now. And I'd rather have them focus on good than more. But hey, if they can do both, sure. What do you think about this?
Yeah, it's so interesting because it's like it really does change the dynamic of draft. Like what it's like, are you going to be cut from your colors sooner? Like it's going to be harder to kind of flip when there's only 4 players and they're picking 2. Like they're going to eat up the colors quicker. It's just curious. I mean, we'll see how it plays out, but I'm wary.
It would be nice if they support this in the app, in the companion app that you usually use to like host tournaments and stuff for having like cube nights. Because let's be honest, you can't always get 8 people for a cube night.
No, it's impossible.
Yeah, it's very hard. But hey, I mean, you, Mia, me, there's 3 out of the 4. You see that Sonic secret layer that dropped?
Oh my god, I know, that's why I didn't want to talk. I hate I'm so tired of complaining about Universes Beyond, but like at this point, I should just accept it as like this. Like this is what Magic is now, right? Like we should just be happy with it, I guess. Like I don't want to be the negative Nancy. They're cool though. I gotta say, they're fun looking cards.
They are thematic designs. I'll give them that. But here's the thing. I remember when they first started making these, there was a whole, like, every time they would release one, there'd be a whole like dissertation about where and when it would be legal and whether they'd print counterparts that didn't have the art. And I can't find any of that anymore. They don't care. I don't
No,
know
they don't.
what format this is. This could be standard legal for all I know.
We jumped the shark.
There is no information about that. I wish there was a little more clarity and transparency about what exactly players are supposed to do with these.
Yep.
I think the implied thing is you just put them in a commander deck. And
I think that's what it is. And that, like the Deadpool set, like they had Deadly Rollick in that.
Yeah.
Like that, so the implication there was like this is just commander only, you know.
Sure.
But like we're getting to the point where like certain bonus sheets and packs are like not standard legal, and it's getting very messy.
What happens when they accidentally print a Knuckles that's like vintage playable because of some weird interaction from 30 years ago? Because of like it interacts with like Bridge from Below and like a weird, and then they have to go and do bannings because Knuckles is too
Knuckles. Yeah, they banned stickers. They're gonna get Knuckles next.
Yeah. Let's rope it in here a little bit. I don't know. Yeah. I would like a little more clarity about that.
I agree.
If you know in Discord where those cards are legal, by the way, please do tell us because I can't.
I give up.
By the time this episode will have released, and in under 24 hours, actually in about 12 hours from our time of recording, we will know what the new ban list is going forward. And as of now, bans have only been with their new like way of doing bans, unless I'm wrong, because there's been a lot of changing information about this too. Bans are going to be happening on a yearly basis. Is that right?
Is that what they said? I only play draft, so that seems messy.
Yeah, they reserve the right to do emergency bans and rebalances, as they described it in the case of something like a Felidar Guardian Saheeli Rai combo, like a truly busted issue.
Yeah, but if you have over 40% of the current meta being a specific deck, like whatever.
Does that not constitute a truly busted issue?
Yeah.
So I actually do have some ban predictions. I have my wish list, and then I also have. Let's start with the big picture. I want to see them ban a ton of stuff. I want to see Standard get fully shook up.
I'm fine
such
with
that none of the existing decks are playable anymore, because I am a little afraid of the rock paper scissors, where if you take out rock, then it becomes a little bit of a stale format again. I think if they immediately remove Corey, like blue red prowess, and mice as decks,
Monstrous Rage.
Yeah, Rage is I think the big offender.
Yeah,
but I think Corey. I think if they want to kill these decks entirely, having played a lot of blue red, Rage won't be enough. It has to be Rage and Corey. And here's the funny thing: I think blue red would still be tier 1 even if Rage and Corey are banned.
Oh wow.
They'll just move into Vivi, and they'll play a slightly slower game. You'll play your 4 stock ups, your 4 VVs, and banning Corey will definitely be a problem. But I mean, I've played enough games of blue red to know that you don't need Corey in your opening hand. You don't need Corey or Rage in your opening hand to win.
Yeah.
You can have a perfectly good game where you go turn 1, Storm Chaser's Talent, you get your 1/1 Otter. Turn 2, you go Drake Hatcher, and then turn 3, you cast 3 cantrips, and then like a shock, and then
it's disgusting.
You're off to the races. And there are other good cards that slot right into that 2-drop slot. I forget the name of it. Astrologian's Planisphere from Final Fantasy, the 2-mana job select one that does. It's very similar to a Drake Catcher. It gives it the thing counters and you cast on creature spells. That'll slot right in. So I think if they really want to kill blue red, and then there's Vivi. Vivi is an insane magic card by itself. It goes infinite with that one. If you have Agatha's Soul Cauldron plus Geralf, Geralf, the Stitcher from Outlaws at Thunder Junction, you can go infinite with that and a bunch of card draw and filtering, because you can just make infinite zombies and then give them haste somehow. So that blue red just pivots into an infinite combo deck then with Vivi. I think if you actually want to kill blue red, you have to just nuke like 4 or 5 cards from it.
They're not going to ban anything from Final Fantasy. Like Vivi is not going to go. I don't think Vivi is going to go.
Not with the price point it's at right
That's
now.
what I'm saying. It's too new. They don't hit new things.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's not going to be VV. I think it's going to be Rage. Corey, I agree. I'm not in standard as much as you are, but how else are they going to nuke it? What else do they have to hit to kind of end it, in your opinion?
I've actually seen some discussion of banning for red. Here's an interesting one. I think they're going to have to ban Manifold Mouse, the double strike one.
Oh, interesting.
That I think is secretly I think it doesn't look like the best card in Mice, but that's because it's not ever on the field for that long.
It's the support part of it all.
It's the glue. It ties it together.
Yeah.
The fact that it can be a 2-for-1 by making the token with kicker really
flexibility
helps. And it's the double strike when paired with the pump spell that really ends up doing it. It's not the it's not the 1/1 pinger or the 2/2 prowess one that really. Yeah, those ones, the Ember Heart Challenger, those ones aren't the problem. It's that one. But I think I heard some discussions of banning the red mouse uncommon land, the one that can tap to give haste.
Oh, interesting.
Because that triggers Valiant.
Yeah.
And that's what gives the red deck the late game stick
push
that a lot of red decks don't have. I think if you want to kill red, ban that land and ban Rage, and then ban the
Manifold,
the double striker. Yeah, Manifold.
Yeah.
But then Omniscience becomes a problem because temporary lockdown still exists, and then Omni and then Domain take over, and you want to have aggressive decks, and then you want to have
it's a balancing decks.
I think Wizards is being asked point blank the question right now: should there be a turn 4 combo kill in standard?
Yeah.
When you have just brought in, I mean, I've had Final Fantasy loving friends who sent me pictures of them playing Final Fantasy, and I'm like, I've known you since high school. You've never once played Magic, and now you send me pictures of you playing Magic, and I'm like, do they want to go to their local game store and get turn 4 Omniscience? Is that going to be a good play experience for your new fans?
Yeah, well, that's where I think they're not going to ban anything from Final Fantasy, but I'm not sure that's going to make that big of a difference right now.
Yeah. Oh, but then you ban Omniscience, and then you have to ask, does the domain piles just become too big? So then does Beans have to go too? My prediction, ultimately, I think they tend to be a little too conservative at bans. I predict that they're going to do Beans, Rage, Corey, and Omniscience.
I think they should just ban everything that came out in Throne. Or Wilds.
Wilds is an insane set.
Yeah.
I actually, that's my prediction. My wish list is that they ban those and then 5 other cards of anything they want. Take their pick, dealer's choice. My secret wish is that they leave Corey, because I'm an evil person. And I love my Corey Steel deck. And if I get to keep playing that in standard for the next year,
be happy,
it's
man.
Going to be a blast.
Because Corey's still new enough that I'm like, are they going to touch it?
That's the thing. It just came out.
It did.
But it's obviously a problem card. Maybe they think they can ban Rage, and maybe they'll ban Wild Ride, the +3/+0 instant that kind of pairs well with Vivi and Corey. Maybe they'll ban Stitcher, Hatcher, Drake Hatcher or something.
Maybe they're hoping to just hit the linchpin cards that kind of make all these vectors kind of work.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Needless to say, I'm very excited to see what happens after bans, because I know you're excited to get into standard when the opportunity arises.
Yeah. I've been selling some cards at my local game store to kind of build up some store credit to kind of invest in one of these. But obviously I'm going to wait till after banned at this point.
That's the thing. It's been a lame duck format. But hey, after tomorrow, I mean, we got to start brewing.
We'll see. Yeah.
If you want to hear our discussions about Edge of Eternity leaks, you can sub to the Patreon. We talked about them in the pre-show. So we were going to talk about that here, but the show's getting a little long as is. So go pay 25 cents and you get our takes on all the leaks. I don't know if we should be advertising the leaks on the official show.
No, probably not. Yeah, we'll keep this. We'll keep this above board.
Yeah. Let's hop on our Roses and Thorns, our Teferi and Tibble. Tyler, what's your Teferi this week?
Sure. These kind of go hand in hand. So me and my wife are in the process of selling our house. That's my thorn. It's a whole headache. We have to kind of maintain the house, and you have strangers in your house. It's kind of weird. I have my Innistrad sealed booster box sitting here, and my collection, and it's like you know, it's still a little awkward. Like obviously the realtors are here, but it's still a strange experience. And kind
People
of
coming in for the open house, like it's all this nerd stuff.
like we're gonna draft real quick. But it's just weird because like now that we did the open house, it kind of moves into this point where like realtors can request to just come by, you know, like to just come to the house when we're not here. Yeah, exactly. So it gets a little strange.
That is a little weird.
Yeah, and the market's kind of fishy too, so we'll see what happens. But we did find an apartment we really liked. The whole thing is trying to find the timing now to kind of make that move impossible with the sale of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Life is fun, Ben.
There's always something.
Oh, there's always something. Yeah, I think I like to keep myself busy is what I'm learning.
Yeah.
That's really it. How about you? I know you're on summer vacation now, so that must be nice.
Yeah, it is. Somewhat unsurprisingly, my summer weekends have started filling up. You know,
always do too.
I think I have like 2 that are unoccupied right now. There's
no
always
relaxing.
Yeah. I did just learn from you before the show started that I'm going to be on a trip during the Edge of Eternities. I thought that was coming out in like November or something. I didn't know it was in like a month. Come on, we just got whatever. So I don't know what we're going to do about that, but I guess I'll try to convince Mia that we should. No, I can't have us go play Magic on our vacation
in California.
Like visiting friends we haven't seen in a while. That'd be a step below. Unless they want to come play Magic with us, then you know
I'll fly out.
Yeah, come on out. Hit up the old sunny coast and see what's up. So my tipple. I don't know if it's been super evident in my voice, but I've actually been sick for about the past week. Some sort of like viral.
There's something going around right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I finally got on antibiotics because after like 5 days of just like progressively getting worse and like more congested, and it was like I was like, you know, how it is.
Something.
Yeah, it sucks. And the worst part was I'm like never sick during the school year.
Of course, you're on vacation.
I'm always and I'm not living healthy during the school year. I'm getting like 6 hours of sleep and surrounded by gross kids. Students, if you're listening, go find something better to do with it. I'm not talking about you. You know the ones I'm talking about. But then, of course, like my first week of summer break, immediately I just like I'm wiped. So it sucked because I had a ton of plans with friends that had been like on the calendar for ages, and I'm like, I finally get to go out with my friends, and now I'm on antibiotics, and I can't even like. But that's how it is. Hopefully, I'm back to normal. I'm at like 80% now, I think. So the ban announcement tomorrow will cure me.
Hopefully,
unless they ban Corey, then I'll just die.
Back down.
Anyway, listener, thank you for joining us on a lovely discussion of meandering topics surrounding Magic these days. It's never boring. It's never dull. We'll give it that. Check us out in Discord if you are not yet there already. And again, thanks to the Patreon patrons. You are the best, and you really make this show happen. So if you're interested in supporting us on Patreon, hop over there. You can follow us on all of our socials. You know what? I think I might start posting on both Twitter and Blue Sky. I want to see if I can make it so that I post on both somehow.
Cross post. I'm sure there's a way.
Yeah, it's funny. Blue Sky has a really particular energy to it. That well, it's a better energy. So like
yes,
the median energy on Blue Sky is so much better than on Twitter.
Yeah.
But it also gets a little I don't know, cringy millennial in a way.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Yeah.
Twitter, we did always have our niche of Magic Twitter, and I think maybe it was a disservice to abandon that entirely. But
sure,
I'm sure there's a way to cross post. I guess you could just always type it out twice. But
gross.
You can follow us over at draftchaffpod on any of our social medias, including on YouTube, where we also upload these as well as like gameplay videos and that kind of fun thing. Maybe some more pack cracking if we can win some more boxes.
I want to open boxes. I'll open a box right now.
All right, well, it's time to end the show. I have a quick sign off here. Let me see if I can display this in a proper way.
I'm gonna grab a pack.
Oh my god! Don't do it. What are you getting right now?
Foundation pack.
You just have more laying around?
Oh, I got everything laying around.
All right.
Just while you're pulling your thing up, I'm just gonna see what we got.
Yeah,
Keep the listeners entertained.
Yeah, that's true. Get some in-flight entertainment going here.
This is gonna be pack cracking ASMR.
Oh yeah, get this going.
This is a food token.
Hold on, don't do the rares last this time.
Oh come on! There's 2 rares in here. Let's see what we got in here. Anything good? Gnarled Colony, Voyage, Healer's Hawk, Hungry Ghoul.
Healer's Hawk was a good card.
Yeah, Firebrand Archer, Cathar Commando,
Good card.
Vanguard Seraph. All right, let's get to the uncommons here. We have Billowing Shriek Mass.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, this is fine. Rogue's Passage, meh. Juggernaut, meh.
Eh.
And then Guardian Air, which is that 6-mana 1/1 that ETBs and creates 2/3/3
Ooh,
knights.
I like that one.
Yeah, that's in foil actually. We got 2
Nice.
rares. We have Ashroot Amonist. I don't remember what this one does. This is a 4-mana 4/4 trample. It attacks another target creature you control gets trample and +X, where X is this creature's power. That's pretty powerful.
The red-green one, right?
Yeah. And then we got
Yeah.
Rune Scarred Demon, which is
hot.
Yeah,
I always love a Rune Scarred Demon.
That's
All
it from
right.
the pack. I'm picking the Rune Scarred Demon.
Oh yeah, same. So for those that don't know, I'm on the lead team, the activities team of CubeCon this year. So I'm one of the staff. I get like a fancy staff thing and all that. But yeah, the Draft Chaff Cube has not actually been voted in yet. It did not get voted in the rounds yet. It's in a runoff round, so I really wanted to still get voted in. But I haven't been like advertising it or anything because I don't know. Now that I'm on the staff, I'm like I had such a good experience last year as a cube designer. I almost don't feel like I need that again, but I would like to be able to bring the Draft Chaff Cube again. It was a lot of fun. But one of the activities that I will be running this year is the Bar Cube, where for 2 of the nights during CubeCon, and listener, I'm just going to say it now, come to CubeCon. It's an amazing tournament. Most fun I've ever had at a Magic event. 2 of the nights, I'll be the organizer and host of Bar Cube, where we are renting out a bar and just playing Magic at a bar for like 5 hours. It's gonna be awesome.
The games get progressively messier.
Yeah, so we're affiliated with Wizards, right? So we're not gonna be like, it's not a drinking game or anything, but we're just gonna be playing Magic at a bar. And supposedly not that many 8-player environments going to be firing because it's a little hard to organize all that. Instead, we'll be firing what is called Tuberts, which I've learned is a very thriving community, a little micro community within Magic, where there are Dan type formats, like single deck formats or cubes that are meant to be drafted by 2 people. As the organizer of this event, I can't simply show up empty-handed. So I've been working on a Tubert version of the Draft Chaff Cube, which I have called the Draft Chaff Tube. I'm ordering it soon. It's in testing phases right now. But we've played Dan before, right?
Yeah.
The idea of Dan, listener, if you're not familiar, you're probably familiar. Let's be honest. If you're this deeply entrenched in Magic where you're listening to this, you probably heard of it. It centers around the card Dan. It's the forgetful fish. It's a 4/1 with Island Walk, and the whole single share deck kind of revolves around that. I have been working on a Dan variant of my own, inspired by a couple stories that I've heard. A friend of a friend of a friend. It got passed along to me that Shahrazad can be the centerpiece of a Dan.
Oh my god.
Now, for those that don't know Shahrazad,
is it the sub game one?
Shahrazad is the sub game one.
Oh my goodness.
So here's how this card works. 2 mana sorcery. By the way, this card is $400. I'm going to be proxying these. The deck, it's an 80 card deck, and it needs 8 of them. So players leave. This is honestly, I wish we could get the updated rules text on it, but this is the text on the card. Players must leave the game in progress as it is and use the cards left in their libraries as decks with which to play a sub game of Magic. When the sub game is over, players shuffle these cards, return them to libraries, and resume the game in progress, with any loser of the sub game having their life total rounded down. Effects that prevent life total loss may not be used to prevent it. No ante less than 40, blah, blah, blah. So basically, you go to a sub game, and the loser loses half their life. So now the question is, what can you do with that? Well, there is a particular Magic card which I've always been quite fond of called Legion Angel. Legion Angel was a fun card in a bunch of white weenie decks back maybe 5 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever. 2 white. It's a 4/3 flying. It's an Angel Warrior rare from Zendikar Rising. It's a flyer, and it says when it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a card you own named Legion Angel from outside the game and put it into your hand. Typically, this would mean that you play one of these in the main deck and 3 in the sideboard. Even control decks used to use this as a win con. But hear me out. Let's say that you're playing a game of Magic and you have one of these in play. Let's say your opponent has one of these in play, right? Now, and you have one in your hand. You cast Shahrazad. You enter the sub game. You play out your lands. There's a house rule where for each sub game that you're in, planes tap for that many mana. So in the second sub game, your planes taps for 2, and that kind of thing. So the sub games happen quicker, right? So you play your second land. You play your Legion Angel in the sub game. You may then reveal a card you own named Legion Angel from outside that game. Wait a minute, your opponent has one in play in the upper game. So you take that one from the upper game and put it into your hand.
Dan used to hurt my head. This is already going. This is hurt my head more. I didn't think a white deck could make this
Are
harder
you
for me.
seeing where this goes? So not only is Shahrazad a life total haver, it's also a removal spell.
How long do these games typically last?
I don't know at all if this will work. So I've populated the rest of the deck with other good white cards. I put in 4 copies of Secret Rendezvous because I'm an insane person. I think that could be just like a fun effect.
You're gonna have one of each new art from the Final Fantasy.
Oh God, I guess I should, right?
Yeah.
I put in 6, and there's no number restriction. There's 8 Shahrazads and 10 Legion Angels.
Yeah.
I think maybe I'll have like an extra one in a theoretical sideboard outside of the game too, just for fun. But you're playing Lapse of Certainty because you share a deck. In Dan, Memory Lapse is a classic card. Counter the spell, put it on top of the library because, you know, the next person to draw, I mean, they're going to get the spell that was countered. So Lapse basically does that. Festival the Guild Pact. Prevent the next X damage that would be dealt to you this turn. Draw a card where that's X. This specifically says effects that prevent damage may not be used to counter this loss of life. However, you can use Festival of the Guild Pact to counter damage from Legion Angels. Or you can just use it as a cycling cantrip. So you can cycle those. We're playing Reprieves. We're playing Unexpectedly Absence so you counter their Shahrazad, and then that goes on top, and then you put the Legion Angel like 3 under the Shahrazad, and then there's elixirs to tie it all together, and then there's just a bunch of planes. It doesn't really matter with the lands.
I think I'm too dumb for this.
I think I am too, and that's why I'm so excited. By the way, I need 2 cards. These cards, I'm happy with the numbers because these are mostly drawn from like numbers inspired by Dan.
Yeah.
Like this is based on the number of Dans, same with the Shahrazads and the counter spells and the removal spells. That's all relative to original Dan. But I think I need a couple more just random cards to get to 80. So I am open to listener suggestions, or of course you, Tyler, your suggestion on any mono white cards that are good enough or like interesting enough to fill a role here.
Interesting. I have to think about this. I have to think about how this even works.
I don't know if this works.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to proxy and try.